I told him worrying about my body count meant he was weak. He just smirked and left. Hi. So, a slightly strange situation I found myself in this week. I think I'm in the right, and so does everyone in my life. But I might just be in my little echo chamber, so I decided to come on here and see what you guys think. So I'm 21 female, coming off this weird situation with my boyfriend, George, 26 male. We've not been together that long, just about 4 months. He's met my friends, but not my family. Basically, we're still feeling each other out. The story of how we got together is kind of boring too. I had just gotten out of a weird situationship with my cousin's friend. It ended mutually, but I was still bummed out about it. When I told my parents, they encouraged me to go on a date with someone I found cute. It sounded like solid advice, so I downloaded Hinge. George and I matched on there. His profile was cute. We had similar interests in Formula One and hiking. He was cute and well-educated, which I really liked in a man. He messaged me first. He was very respectful. We texted on Hinge for a week before he invited me out for coffee. It was fun. He dressed business casual, which I found funny back then. I later found out that he came straight from work and immediately after the date went back to work. After that date, we went out again for drinks and started texting regularly, not on Hinge, but with our regular numbers. Like I said, he was cute, had a stable job, seemed a little basic, but in an I'll take care of you kind of way. Honestly, I wasn't expecting much, but he made good conversation and didn't seem like a total douche, so I was open to seeing where it went. Third date, we're at dinner, and I can see he's fidgeting with his tie. He looked nervous. I hadn't known him that long at that point, but it seemed out of character for him. I just bit the bullet and asked him if something was wrong. He looked me in the eye and told me that he had something to say. My immediate thought was, great, he's married, isn't he? He wasn't married. He tells me that when he was about my age, he slept around a lot. However, when he turned 23, he realized that the life he was living was very fulfilling. He stopped sleeping around and got his life together. Now, he was focused on finding a woman whose life aligned with his. He wanted a wife, not a casual relationship. That's when I started to see him differently. I liked a man that knew what he wanted. I liked that he was intentionally too. That night I kissed him for the first time. Yes, I went on Hinge to find something fun, but I came out of it with a great guy. Fast forward 4 months, and it's been going great. I introduced him to my friends. They liked him well enough, they just worried that I'd get hurt again. I guess they were kind of right. So, let's get into what actually happened. It was one of those nights where I had a really long day. Work was a nightmare, and I really just wanted to cuddle up with my boyfriend. He called me the minute I got home around 7 and told me he'd be at my place in an hour. I started dinner. Potatoes and steak. Both our favorites. I was just getting our drinks out of the fridge when his voice rang out over the intercom. I buzzed him in and started setting the table. Most weeknights he ate dinner at my place. It was closer to his work, and he was trying to eat out less when he got off work so late. He got into my apartment and we had a nice dinner. We had a nice conversation. We had a rule not to talk about work during dinner, so we talked about anything else. Childhood stories, embarrassing middle school experiences, awkward first date stories. One thing I liked about George is that we never really out of things to talk about. By some insane karmic joke, that's exactly what got us into a fight. George was talking about a girl in his high school who peed herself when her family found out she was sleeping with one of the seniors. It was a funny story, so I admit I snorted a little bit. I then asked him if he knew what happened to her after high school. He just shrugged and called her a certain word. I don't think I can repeat it due to Reddit guidelines, but let's just say that he said that she turned out to be a woman who got around. I immediately bristled. Something about him calling her that rubbed me the wrong way, even though I didn't know who she was. I asked what he meant by that, and he just said that he heard that she had a body count that was huge. The silence stretched between us. Finally, he looked up at me. He must have seen the look on my face because he immediately tried to backtrack. He told me that the body count was probably exaggerated. I asked him a simple question. What if it wasn't? Would you still call her that? He didn't have an answer for that. After a while, he started talking again. I was semi-ignoring him, giving him one-word answers. He starts asking about my dating history. Normal stuff at first. Then he hits me with the, "What's your body count?" question. I laughed because I already knew this was going to be a thing. I could tell from the way he asked it. Honestly, I was impressed that he waited so long before asking. Usually guys ask on the third date. sometimes even the second. I've been asked that before, and I usually dodge it, but this time I was just over it. I said, "It's 10. Deadpan. No flinching." He looked at me like I told him I'd killed a man. So then I clarified. And I'll clarify to you guys too, because why not? Yes, 10. I've been sexually active since I was 17. It's been 4 years. That's 2.5 a year on average, though really more like 6 in the last year and a half. I'm not ashamed of it. I travel, I meet people, I go to music festivals. I've done a semester abroad. I've had flings with coworkers, one DJ I met at a friend's after party, 2 different bouncers from the same club, not at the same time, a married guy who lied about being separated, that one was messy, and I've gone through my fair share of Tinder and Hinge boredom. If you really want to know, Marcus, ex from high school, Sean, campus TA, also a bouncer, Liam, DJ in Berlin, Jordan, bartender at a place I used to work, Eric, from Tinder, Devin, random guy I met at Coachella, Alex, guy I sat next to on a Spirit flight who turned out to be my cousin's friend, Matt, one-night stand from a rooftop party, also a bouncer, Josh, he delivered my Uber Eats, I added him on Insta, and one more. I forgot his name, but he was from Tinder. Most were one and dones or lasted maybe 2 weeks, tops. A few were repeats if they were decent in bed or didn't annoy me. Anyway, I told George all that, not in a braggy way, just direct, because if you're going to ask, then you better be ready to hear it. He sat there quietly, kind of frozen, and said something like, "That's a lot of guys." I said, "If you're this worried about it, then you're weak." He smirked, stood up, grabbed his work bag, and walked out of my apartment without saying anything else. I haven't heard from him since. I may have been a little bit mean calling him weak, but I don't really regret the sentiment. I tried calling him a couple times, and he's been ignoring me. Fine, 2 can play that game. I've told all my friends, and they all agree that George was the problem. I even asked my family, and they said the same thing. I wasn't raised to see these kinds of things as a big deal, but something tells me George was. Whatever. I'm honestly confused why he's been ignoring me. I didn't cheat on him. I didn't lie. I've only known the guy for like half a year. We've only slept together a couple times. He asked for honesty and I gave it. And no, I'm not going to pretend I regret anything. I've had great experiences. I've learned a lot. I know what I like. I know how to read people. I don't chase men. I don't beg for attention, and I don't sit around waiting to be chosen. If a man can't handle that, it's not my problem. Plus, he literally told me that he slept around a lot too. I didn't worry about his body count when I heard that. He did. I think that makes him weak, but I admit I should not have told him that. All right, I really hope that long rant made sense, guys, LOL. Open to hearing what you guys think. Do you think I did something wrong? Or should I just let the entire situation and George go? Update, 2 weeks later. So, I guess I'm back with an update, though it's not really the kind I expected to give. It's been about 2 weeks since George walked out of my apartment, and no, we haven't spoken. I tried calling because I prefer that to texting, and I felt a serious conversation shouldn't be had over text. He didn't answer the calls, so I sent him 2 texts after that night, one asking if he was okay, and another just saying I hoped he'd reach out when he was ready. No answer, too. After that, I stopped trying. At first, I was fully in his loss mode. I went out with friends, stayed busy, even re-downloaded Hinge for a minute. But after the initial anger wore off, I actually started feeling kind of off. Not heartbroken exactly, just unsettled. I think it had something to do with how fast it all ended. I kept looping in my head despite everyone around me telling me to just move on. One of my guy friends, Theo, 23, male, someone I've known since high school, told me point blank that George probably walked because I hit a nerve in a way that felt more personal than honest. He said it wasn't the body count itself, it was how casually I dropped it and then basically called George weak for reacting at all. That kind of stung. Mostly because I knew there was some truth in it. The more I sat with it, the more I realized I'd been treating that conversation like a test. Like, if you can't handle this part of me, then leave. Which sounds empowering until someone actually does leave. And yeah, I did say I didn't chase men, but it's easy to say that when you're used to being the one doing the leaving. Anyways, I was content to take the entire situation as a semi-L and get on with my life. Here's where things took a turn I didn't expect. A week after George ghosted me, I got a call from my cousin. Her friend, the guy I had that situationship with before George, apparently saw my Reddit post, or at least he's very sure it was about him since I didn't use real names. He sent screenshots to my cousin, then to mutuals, then to people I work with. He basically told everyone that I was publicly bragging about sleeping with a married man, even though I literally said in the post that he lied about being separated. But people don't seem to care about nuance when there's gossip involved. It spiraled fast. My boss called me in for a chat because one of our clients had seen the post and asked if it was about someone from our company. It wasn't, but the damage was done. HR's now reviewing social media conduct, even though I didn't name anyone. I'm technically not in trouble, but I've definitely been side-eyed around the office since. Okay, that's a lie. I'm being avoided like the plague at work. Nobody wants to hang with the girl that has the entire company on edge and careful with what they post. My lady in the cubby next to me told me right in my face that she doesn't want to associate with someone who sleeps around and is a homewrecker. I'd like to point out that that statement is only 75% true, but okay. I can feel this weird tension in my office, so I've started looking for a new job, but so far, nothing. It sucks because I really like this job, and the job market is horrible right now. However, I'm trying to be positive on 2 points. 1, I won't even lose my job, and 2, even if I do, I'll find another one. On to the bigger issue now. My mom saw the post too. Someone from her church sent it to her. That was a whole thing. She's not even mad, just disappointed in that silent way that makes you feel like you're a kid again, like you've tracked mud into the house or gotten really bad grades on your report card. She's not mad at me for the body count thing. She's mad that I embarrassed her to her friends. And now, yeah, I'm kind of humiliated and lonely at work. I thought I was just telling my side of a story. I guess I forgot how easy it is for people to recognize themselves, connect dots, twist it into something it wasn't, especially on the internet. I used to think honesty was a kind of armor. Lately, it just feels like I handed people a sword. Horrible analogy. Sorry, I flunked English. So that's the update. I'm really tired. It's like midnight over here, so I'm going to go to bed. I'll reply to comments in the morning. Bye. Update. 1 month later. Hi guys. Did you miss me? No offense, but I really hate coming on this app. So everybody say, thank you for updating this story. You're the best. As for the update, things somehow managed to get worse. And yes, I realize that's saying a lot. I wasn't even planning to write another one of these. Like I said, I hate this app. Anyways, I thought the drama had peaked with the whole work situation and my mom finding out. But something's been eating at me this whole time. Mainly how my cousin's friend Alex, 22 male, even saw the original post in the first place. I never mentioned real names. I never even hinted at anything identifiable. The only people who knew about George were my friends, my cousin, and some of my coworkers. Alex and I weren't even following each other on anything. So last weekend, I went to a birthday party thing for my cousin's fiancé. Alex was there. I didn't plan on confronting him, but I'd had 2 drinks and I just kind of cornered him. Asked him flat out how he found the Reddit post. At first, he acted like it just came across his feed, but when I pressed him, he got this weird smug look on his face and said something like, "Ask your ex-boyfriend. He's the one that sent it to me." I didn't believe him at first, thought he was just being petty. But when I asked him what exactly George sent, he pulled up the actual message. There it was. George had screenshotted the Reddit post and sent it to him with a simple, "Thought you'd find this interesting." Time stamped, 2 days after he walked out of my apartment. I know I said that Alex and I ended mutually, but that's not 100% true. There was some bad blood there, but I thought it was nothing deep. Apparently I was wrong. I left the party early. I was shaking in the Uber. I kept rereading the message, trying to figure out what the hell George was thinking. He didn't just ghost me. He made sure to punish me. What kind of person even does that? He sent it to my Alex, who obviously had no reason to keep it to himself. From there, it spread like wildfire to mutuals, co-workers, even my mom's church. And all of it started with him. I haven't confronted George. I don't know if I will. What would I even say? Thanks for ruining my reputation and probably costing me my job because I hurt your feelings. I'm not trying to poke that bear again. He clearly knew exactly what he was doing. Anyway, there's more. Someone from HR accidentally CC'd me on an internal email about reviewing my contract status. The subject line literally said, "Risk assessment." That's where we are now. I'm not fired, not yet, but I've been pulled off 2 client accounts and reassigned to grunt work. and the guy I was casually talking to from another department has stopped messaging me altogether. Cool. Also remember Theo? My friend who told me I might have hit a nerve with George? He's kind of ghosted too. I don't know if he thinks I brought this all on myself, or if he's just uncomfortable with how public everything got, but we haven't spoken since that night. And this part's small, but it stung more than I expected. I wasn't invited to a friend's bachelorette trip this week. No message, no heads up, nothing. Just photos on Instagram and Facebook of all the girls in matching short dresses at a club. I guess I've officially been soft-blocked in real life too. Didn't even know that was a thing, but whatever, life goes on. So to recap, my boyfriend ghosted and retaliated, my cousin's friend exposed me, my job's on thin ice, and most of my social circle thinks I'm a messy homewrecker who can't keep her legs shut. All because I posted a rant online thinking no one in my real life would ever find it. That's all. Don't really have a clean ending for this one. I just wanted people to know what really happened. Make of it what you will. Final update, 6 weeks later. So, I wasn't planning to come back again, but something happened that I feel like I have to talk about. Mostly because I still can't believe it actually happened. Like, I've replayed it in my head 100 times and it still feels like something out of a bad show. George wasn't done. I found out earlier this week that he didn't just send my Reddit post to my cousin's friend. He also sent it to the wife of the married guy I mentioned. The one I said lied to me about being separated. Apparently, George figured out who the guy was, which wouldn't have been that hard, honestly, considering how connected everybody is these days. He must have stalked socials, put together names, timelines, mutual follows. Then he found her, the wife, and he sent it to her. Not just the post. He highlighted the part where I talked about her husband, added a note that said something like, "Thought you deserved to know what your man's been up to." Signed it with his name, no hiding. Now, you might be wondering how I found this out. I'll tell you. She showed up at my job. I'm not exaggerating or being dramatic. She walked into my workplace in the middle of the day. This was around 2 p.m. I was finishing up edits on a presentation for a client pitch. I got a Slack from someone at the front desk that a Miss Matthews was here to see me. Said she claimed we had a meeting on my calendar. I didn't remember scheduling anything, but I figured maybe someone double booked, so I went down. She looked normal at first. Clean blazer, big tote bag, messy bun. She could have been anybody, a vendor, a recruiter, a client. I smiled, introduced myself, and asked how I could help. She didn't say anything for a second, just looked at me. Then she pulled her phone out, opened her photos, and held it up to my face. "Is this you?" she said. I didn't know what I was looking at until I saw the post title. The one I wrote, with my exact words, my story, right there on her screen. I didn't know what to say. I just stood there, frozen. She started reading parts of it out loud, very loudly, quoting me word for word in the middle of the damn hallway. The married guy who lied about being separated, that one was messy. She kept repeating that line. Then she asked if I was proud of myself. She asked how many other people's husbands I'd hooked up with. I tried to calm her down, told her I didn't know he was married, that I'd never have gone near him if I had. She didn't care. She laughed in my face and said, "They all say that." She wouldn't move. She blocked the hallway. My coworkers were literally walking around us trying not to look. I asked her if we could step into a private conference room and talk, but she just kept going. Her voice was getting louder. She called me every name you can think of, called me a slut, called me a liar, said I had no shame, no morals. At one point, she stepped forward and tried to grab my phone out of my hand. Said she wanted to see who else I'd slept with. I backed up. Someone from my team stepped in between us. Security was called. They escorted her out. I went back to my desk shaking. I couldn't even finish the presentation I'd been working on. I just sat there staring at my screen while my inbox filled up with follow-ups I couldn't even focus on. I thought maybe that would be the end of it. Maybe people would understand that I was ambushed, that the entire thing was humiliating enough without adding punishment on top. But of course it wasn't. I got called into HR the next day. They were polite, professional, and distant. They said they were aware of an incident involving a non-employee visitor and that they needed to evaluate the broader implications. They pulled up the post. I could see it on the tablet the HR rep was holding, highlighted and bookmarked. I asked how they even found it. She didn't answer, just said the company was committed to protecting its reputation and maintaining a safe, respectful workplace. Then she said it. We've decided to terminate your employment, effective immediately. I didn't cry, not in that room. I just nodded, packed up my stuff, and walked out with a blank expression while my coworkers avoided eye contact. Someone messaged me later saying they were sorry, but that was it. No one's reached out since. So, yeah, I lost my job. George did this. He ghosted me. Then he made sure I'd lose my job. He made sure people would associate me with the worst version of myself. I haven't heard from him. And at this point, I don't want to. I don't want closure or clarity or anything like that. I want distance. I want quiet. I want my life back. I'm not writing this for pity. I'm writing it because I want people to understand what happens when you share your truth in public and someone decides to use it against you. Anyway, I'm done. For real this time. Thanks to the people who didn't judge. To the rest, you'll find your entertainment elsewhere, I'm sure. Logging off.